All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Friday, closing out the week here live in the Cyber Group Trading Room, streaming across social media, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. You see the NEO trade on the board right now, down 18+%, ready to break down underneath this massive iceberg at 1050. Great to see everybody, though. Chuck, who's having a great day so far. Greg as well. I mean, a lot of us doing really well today to close out the week. Michael, Sharon, Ron, Jose, Kathleen, Daniel, Greg, Leda, pleasure as always. Joe as well, loud and clear from all. So let's hop into it, guys. Without further ado, I want to show just I have not only the Dow up as I normally do, I have the S&P up as well. So I was looking at NEO. I was just noting the downtrend, just seeing this drop off tremendously early in pre-market. We'll cover the trade. I'm currently short on this myself on a half-size position from 1098. My only regret's just not doing another 500 shares, but I'm in from 1098. I'm hoping to see this slam right under 10, and we'll see where it takes us going into the afternoon. But, you know, with this kind of meddling lower heading into the 2:30 meeting here, I was just taking a look. The Dow wasn't really doing a whole lot. I have the SPY S&P ETF on my other screen here that you guys don't see, and I was seeing that push at the highs. I'm like, what the heck? Okay, that's pretty odd to see the S&P pushing at the highs, whereas the Dow, I mean, it's almost having like a polar opposite day. I mean, it's not really at the lows, but certainly not close to the highs. Looks like it made a lower high, if anything, on the way back down. So, you know, we've seen this before where the S&P and the Dow trade, you know, differently. But I mean, I just found that slightly different in terms of just the total direction. NEO, just either way, China stock, just it's a name brand stock, so it's one that I'll note that can move with the market. So that's why I wanted to kind of have this little study up here to showing the S&P. But for right now, hey, to go over NEO here to begin the day, guys, we ended up seeing a little bit of consolidation. Let me get rid of the S&P chart. There we go. We ended up seeing a big drop, but from that point, some consolidation before this thing really started to get the gears going. But eventually ended up breaking below pre-market support that we had off of 1180. From there, a free fall. So, you know, this was a monster short going into the mid-morning. A lot of us were just following this at that point. You would figure going into the late morning, early afternoon, as the markets were bouncing, that NEO would likely exhaust out, if not maybe even just move right back up towards that 1150 major level, but ended up making these like lower highs, higher lows, this wedge pattern. You might call it a pennant, a wedge. Ended up eventually breaking down, of course, under the 11 level, and that's where I ended up going short. I was pretty confident. Ended up shaking around slightly, really not that much, but it was up around like 1105. I had my stop set at 11, I think 1113 or 1112 was my stop on the half-size position. But yeah, you could see right now going into the afternoon, here's the iceberg order, 618,000 shares I just saw. It's a bidding war between the bid and the ask. I would expect the first break of this level for it to, like, quote unquote fail, for this to break under 1050 and for it to perhaps shake through the level back up. Let's see what happens here coming up, though. A lot of refreshing on the bid. That order's not going fully away just yet. It's getting chopped down, though, now at this point. You start to see some more volume being placed there. So it might take a little bit. I don't know if we want to watch this the whole time. I don't want to stare at this for like 5-10 minutes here. Come on. It's like hitting the jukebox. You got to be like the Fonzie. Hit the jukebox. Get the song playing. You see the ask order too, 1051, 191,000 shares. It's stacking up. There we go. Perfect. All right, it broke. Let's see what happens, though, now at this point. Not really much red coming in under the level. There's our shakedown and back up, like I just thought. I think I might just cover here. Maybe get back in on this trade later on. I don't want to waste profit as I go through the next 20 minutes here. Just looking at this, it'll probably shake back up perhaps to like 1080. Yeah, I'm closing out just if I can get one more little pullback. If not, I'm fine. One little drawback here, I'll be fine. All right, you know what? Nah, I just closed. 1056, just took the profits. That's it. I could have had a better exit, but that's fine. All right, well, either way, NEO going into the afternoon, guys. I mean, hey, it's near the lows going into the end of the day, down already 18+%. I made this joke in the chat board, and believe me, guys, it was a joke. I don't want you to think that I was that confident of it hitting 10. But I'll tell you now, if you look on your level 4, and even if you look on the NASDAQ book viewer, if you have it up, you start to see more volume joining the bid at that $10 major level. So that's a pretty interesting sign heading into the end of the day. If this could re-break under 1050, I would love to jump back in, expecting this to get closer towards that major 10 level. You could also see a gap fill on the daily chart. That's also something I was looking at earlier today too. 940, the high back from July 2nd, took off, over the weekend. It's not a complete fill because there's obviously trading action in between there from a little while back, but back from early 2019. So I'm pretty confident if this could re-break under 1050, we're getting much closer towards that next major support. All right, so NEO did pretty good on the way down this morning. I'll tell you a few stocks that did pretty well on the way up. The VRNA trade to begin, a couple of Vs. VRNA, at least now pulling back, but earlier today ended up being a nice runner. Ended up holding support essentially off the low of the day, whole number off 8. Ended up building back up, broke above 9. Took a little bit to do so, but once it broke out over 9, it ended up really starting that whole run. Right, you could see it was dropping, pulled back, hit 8, bounced up, and once it broke through 9 on the second shake through the level here, it popped up, pulled back, pushed back up, and on the second push through the level, took off. So from that point, the VRNA ended up being a monster, ended up getting halted not only once here, but a few times on the way up, I thought. Ended up, of course, now at this point, taking profits, pulling back down. I mean, hey, I like the range on this trade across the board from, low to high, and even just the pre-market, gap. It's possible to see a higher low build right from 12 for this to build back up. We've seen these crazy moves just over the last 2 weeks. EQ, WIMI. I mean, hey, there's one I'm in right now, actually. We'll check that one out perhaps in a moment. Carve, right? So there's been a few of these that have made these tremendous squeezes up, and where I thought that it would end up just dying off, it ended up building a higher low, moving right back up. So, I don't mind just coming back to this at the very end, this VRNA trade. But ended up being a nice runner shortly after the open. Again, the breakout level at first was off 9. The big volume spike came in here presumptively off 10. Yeah, once this pierced through 10, it ended up making a huge spike. And then on the second breakthrough over the level, it got halted on the way up. Greg here in the chat board saying Ramble, as I like to, I guess, nickname it. I don't know if that's the company name. Oh, Rumble. Good enough. Close enough. He says RMBL is flying. He says he's up $1 on the trade, and he was in from, or he just closed at 28.73. Whoa, Greg, excellent. Then Michael says RMBL was latest call out yesterday at the close. She said keep an eye on this RMBL. So let's take a look on the 1 minute chart here at least. So, at the very end of the day, Michael is saying one of our students later, rightfully so, because look at this thing pop. Looks like this came out with great news going into the after hours. I'm sure Fausto touched upon this earlier during the morning briefing, but going into the market open, it does what every other stock like this normally does. It ended up pulling back at the open. Ended up flying afterwards, though. I did not trade this thing. This thing's a monster. I mean, look at the spread right now. You can't even read level 3 of the matrix, to find the spread. It's probably even easier to read level 2 here, seeing the top bid, lowest offer. It's like a 35, 40-cent spread. Crazy. But, I mean, hey, it's flying, just like Greg said. So, yeah, I'm going to put this on our list going into the afternoon, but, contrary to where NEO was more of like a level 2-ish trade, at least I'd say. NEO's probably like level 2, maybe level 3 even, just given the volatility. It has a 1-cent spread. But I'll tell you, the RMBL trade and even that VRNA trade from earlier today too, both of those are level 5 stocks. For all of us here in the trading room, that means the stock has a huge spread, a very light order book, spaced out orders on the bid and the ask. Obviously this thing's flying up. Greg had a very fantastic exit. He closed out, I think, at 28.73 there, picked up $1. But, hey, this stock is, I hate to say it, not for everybody. But, I love to say that at the same time because, what we do here at Cyber Trading University is to try and wean you on the way up, meaning to have you start trading, stocks that are less risky. This thing's making a hell of a move. If you got in from 24, God bless. Or like Greg got in from around 27 or 26.80-ish, picked up $1. But if you get in at the wrong time, you lose a lot of money on a trade like this. So if you do play around on this trade, because I know that I'll have some that don't listen to me, trust me, do what Fausto tells you to do. 1 share, that's it. maybe not one, maybe a couple, like 2 shares, 5 shares, just an extremely smaller position compared to what you would normally do to dip your feet in the waters. Dip your feet in the deeper waters, see what's going on, get the feel of a stock like this, perhaps. That would be the only way I would recommend a newer student or inexperienced trader to follow something like this. All right. But definitely, I mean, obviously, great call from Greg. And yeah, we'll keep this on our list. Water break. There we go. So, contrary to yesterday's afternoon meeting, I have a nice water bottle here ready to go. So, let's see what else we can find, guys, across the percent gainers and losers list. We'll start off with number 3 here. We went over the VRNA. Greg called out the RMBL. I would assume 30, just really quick. I know it topped off 29.50. I would assume 30, just decade number to act as a major point of resistance. All right. SALM number 3 up 59%. Nice pop right now. Broke over Wednesday's high even just now. So Wednesday's high was back at 162. High of the day today before just that recent pop, 165. So it looks like it's stalled out essentially there, flattened out. And yeah, I don't know if new news came out or if this is just the next pop on this trade, but we've been following the stock of late. And if you look on the daily chart, I think I'm right. Just go back a few years. Yeah, this thing is taken quite a hit over the last year and a half, or even last many years for that matter, back from 2013, 2014. Steady decline all the way down from like 10.50. So this type of stock we love to follow going into the afternoons. We love to follow in the mornings as well. Ended up doing well back on Wednesday, like I'd said. It pulled back at that time, died off. At least here, it's much stronger heading into the final hour of the day. So yeah, the SALM trade. Oh, and actually, just notice this. I'll never fail to catch it, but I would like to catch this faster. It's shortable, at least for those with TradeStation. So, God forbid if this does not fail to run up for us, if this is a total bust and this dumps back down, which I don't think it will, but God forbid if it does, it actually is shortable. So it would be an interesting opportunity should that happen. All right. I got a member on YouTube saying VCNX moving. Yeah, looks like it's popping right now, holding support from 750. Another one with a spacey spread. Not as crazy as that Rumble trade. It's tightening up here and there. Yeah, I'll put this one back on our list, VCNX. I think this was on our main watch list going into the market open today. Yeah, it was on the CTU morning watch list here this morning, guys. The VRNA, the VCNX. And there's another V I wanted to get to. I think, Greg, you called it out here in the chat board just before as well. Repost the CTU morning watch list here across the board. All right. So, yeah, VCNX either way, holding support beautifully or it held. Hopefully, it ends up running back up much higher. Don't be surprised, though. I mean, hey, it's not going to be a perfect steady trend up towards the highs of the day, up towards 905. For right now, it made a nice pop, pulled back towards 810. For right now, I wouldn't even be surprised if it pulls back towards 8 or even 790, begins to hold support there, and then begin to squeeze back up. But yeah, for right now, we'll keep this on our list. All right. Was I going to jump to that other V right now? I just want to skip ahead even. I don't know if I'd find this on the gainers list, so let me just skip ahead to this one, at least for right now. Greg called this one out. I think it was Greg, at least. VBIV, another V. Ended up making a nice squeeze heading into this afternoon meeting, at least for right now, up 16%. Maybe I would have found this on the gainer side. Just did a really quick rummage through. Yeah, I would have found it. All right. Well, either way, VBIV near the highs of the day, holding really strong right now. Major resistance off of 6. You have a stack of orders at 6 and 599. See there on the TradeStation matrix. And like I said with SALM, SALM, at least that one's shortable. This one's shortable too. So if it's a total bust and ends up crapping out the other way, then at least it's shortable on the way down. All right, so let's continue at least on the gainer side, guys. For any of the others that ended up running up earlier this morning, this early afternoon, we'll look to recap them fairly quick, but I want to see what else is out there. There's the CKPT trade. This was tripping me up earlier this morning trying to say the symbol. This ended up making a nice move. So I'll recap this one briefly. Fausto was calling this one out predominantly after the market opened up. So, he followed this. I think he was in from around 220, squeezed up towards essentially 250 and above. He jumped out and then he jumped back in, I think shortly afterwards, took like a scratch trade or a tiny loss, if that. Ended up dumping back down, flattening out shortly afterwards. So, Yeah, I mean, for right now, I mean, it's kind of holding that same type of support as the VCNX trade is, but where that one was running up, this one hasn't really made that type of move yet. So for right now, I'm going to keep this on the sideline. Oh, did not mean to do that. Let's see here. There we go. All right, HT, let's see, this one's kind of flat too. Yeah, a couple of wacky spikes of volume, ended up just kind of making lower highs off 750. This auto trade Fausto also called out. I mean, this one was unfortunately more of a dud. Not his fault. I mean, just ended up dying out shortly after it hit the highs here. Held underneath resistance 175. At least for right now, it's still holding strong. Kind of a spotty chart, which I'm not really a fan of. As I go through this list, also for as good of a day as we've had, guys, the Dow at least really flat. The S&P is near the highs. So hopefully we have a very active market going into the end of this week. But I got to yank my own leash every now and then and just say to myself, really, and say to you guys at the same time, everybody here, it's a summer Friday. I mean, not much is really happening out there. We did really well earlier today. NEO is, of course, a great stock to follow, and a few of these already on our list I do like. But you know, I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to add too many stocks just on our list for one reason or another. So this SENS made a nice little run up earlier. Just the volume died off, and yeah, for right now, we'll keep this on the side. PDSB kind of looks like a rounded bottom, maybe around 295-ish, but yeah, same thing. MVIS, this was a nice run from earlier today. Popped leading into the market open, ended up popping from 260 resistance, ran up towards 3. Shortly after the open, it ended up making a new pop going into the morning. So this one was a pretty nice level 1 to 2 stock. Whereas I'd said some of those others like RMBL, VCNX, VRNA, more like level 4 or 5 stocks. You know, the spread's tight here. Order book very, very liquid. You know, makes it easy for you to kind of spot some larger orders on the bid and the ask. Compare them to some of the others nearby. Well, yeah, for right now, I mean, like I'd said, for a few of these others already, and I'll usually say this, for a stock that made one big move up already, I wouldn't expect for it to make a second big run heading into the close, especially after it dumped off. Same thing, HTBX. This one ended up running day over day. So, this one now, I learned my lesson. And sometimes you have to learn these lessons, over and over, right? So, what was the one from yesterday? BOXL? Boxel? I thought this one would die off yesterday morning, and it was rightfully on our list. But I just thought it was going to tank after how much it went up the previous few days. Well, I was wrong yesterday morning, I'll tell you that. Well, HTBX, I said to myself, you know what? We're going to follow this thing. It ended up running day over day, and thankfully, we ended up catching this. I caught this myself. We did pretty well in this trade from 225, 230 up towards the high of the day, 280ish. Ended up dying off. Kind of popping a little bit here from 230 up to 250. So it looks like there's still some range on this trade. But again, to see a stock go from $1 all the way to 280 over the last couple of days, we sometimes get spoiled by seeing that within 30 minutes. But for right now, keep this just on the side. I want to go through the losers list, see if there's anything looking good on that side at first. All right. What else do we have here on the gainers list, guys? The IBIO, I think I skipped over. This thing's still pushing. Very nice. All right, cool. So IBIO, obviously, we're going to put this on our list going into the afternoon just based on the chart, the volume, the activity. This definitely is more of a level 1 stock too, level 1 to 2. The more it pushes up, the more volatile it may get. So, the spread may open up a little bit. Still very liquid order book. You can see as of right now, some volume at 410. I mean, it broke over 410 earlier. So if you go through the volume spikes first, then time and sales, we'll do a quick brush through here. Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much see. I mean, 4 is where it broke out from. Popped through a larger order on the ask at 4, big volume spike. Some more volume coming in here once it rebroke over 4, held over it very nicely here. So hopefully it ends up making a new high coming up. But most recently, 228 or 248 for that matter. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole chunk. You see just like a sea of green here. 406, 408, 410, whole bunch. 411, whole bunch. And then after that, it fades off a little bit. So you could see on the chart afterwards, the next couple of minutes, it's been holding 410. I would say the stock is trading 10-cent increments going into the close. Keep that in mind. But yeah, the IBIO easily. We're gonna keep on our list. Definitely on the top. Whew, I'm happy I got out of the Neo trade, moved right back up to that 1080 level. We'll come back to that trade though. It's on the losers list, of course. Want to go to DVAX, DVAX. I know that Chuck C has been killing it on this trade today in our trading room. Ended up making a nice squeeze shortly after the market opened up. Phenomenal squeeze, not short squeeze, but a fantastic run, to say the least. From 950 on the nose all the way up towards 1219, a perfect trend. Looks like 11 was a really strong level from the chart. Big volume spike once it pierced through the level. Just pulled back. I mean, it's still kind of pulling back. It didn't kiss 11 on the nose, but it made a pretty sharp pop up from that point after. Yeah, I mean, DVAX either way. I mean, shortable stock, if it ends up pulling back further or otherwise builds off 11, makes a new run back up. I mean, I like this trade going into the afternoon. Definitely a great stock to keep on our list. That VBI trade pushing through 6, says Greg, or Gregory R. The trading room. Got the Greg's taken over. Yeah, nice. Making nice steady trend up. All right. So guys, if there's anything else that's up, 5, 10+%, just let me know here in the chat board. All right. So losers list, guys, bunch of stuff hard to borrow as usual. There we go. Back to normal. Yesterday, I think like the first 6 or 8, I mean, all of them are shortable to a degree. Doesn't mean that we're going to focus on them all, but if they are shortable, if they are trending near the lows of the day, much like Neo was, and obviously we're still going to watch this going into the afternoon, but very similar to seeing a stock at the highs of the day or holding strong near the highs up big. You want to see the same thing for a stock near the lows like that. Neo, either way, like I said, making a nice bounce back up to 1080. 1080 was a minor level of support earlier. You can't really see it because of the huge spikes of volume that came from the morning, but 11s are major resistance up top. 1080s are minor level of resistance here. Wouldn't surprise me if it breaks out over 1080 later on and runs back closer to 11, but at the same time, I still want to see this get closer to that 10. If this could re-break 1050, I'm all back in on this short. All right, guys. SIEN, we'll take a quick look at. This is near the lows. It is shortable. Trading like poor volume right now, like 1,500 shares a minute. Got some bigger orders on the book for this thing to break through. I do like the larger order on the ask near the lows of the day. That's kind of like a facilitator to see this drive lower heading into the close, but kind of slow. Not really too much to write home about. That's where I'd say, it's a summer Friday. Not really seeing a whole lot out there that looks, phenomenal. There's some good stocks definitely on our list, but Netflix right there down like 10%, I thought, right? Made a hell of a comeback, I think, from the after hours. Yeah, big bounce from like 460. That's right. Okay. Whew, all the way back up to like 500, then pulled back. Yeah. All right. Just wanted to check in on Netflix. We're not going to day trade a stock like this as much. Let's see. Guys, I think that's it. I don't see really much else on the loser side. Check out the CTU momentum scan, see if there's anything else, guys, from the chat board. I'll look right now. All right, so from the trading room here, I'll go from top to bottom here. So from Leo up top saying DGLY, worth watching. I see what you're looking at, Leo. It pulled under 350. It was holding underneath it for a good portion of the day. It pushed over it, under it, now back over it. So maybe this is the moment where this begins to move back up. For right now, I'm not as interested in a trade like this. At this point, it's down 7+%, which is a lot, and that's something I would look at least. But kind of slow, kind of stagnant. I mean, it's level 1. It's a level 1 to 2-ish stock right now. Liquid order book, tighter spread, so I like that. So if you're looking for like a level 1 or 2, that may be it. But we already have a couple on our list already. The VBIV, the DVAX, I believe I had mentioned that. Neo, IBIO. I mean, definitely this one's on our list already. So Brad wrote this just a little while back, so current time's 2:54. It's like 10 minutes ago. Brad commented on that. So yeah, I mean, Neo. I mean, this is a better one to focus on, Leo, if anything, compared to that DGLY. From Jerry, picked up 19 cents on SPAC SPAQ. Up 9%. Nice profit from Jerry. We saw this called out earlier today, and given the range across the last week and a half or so, it's near the highs. I do like that. Tight spread. So, you know what? I think this one will at least make the cut. Let's see what else. Moderna mRNA from Michael. Oof, oh my goodness. This thing's on the way back up to 100. All right. Back from earlier this week, we were talking about a potential push up to 100. I mean, we were very speculative at the time. No, it was at 87. But a couple days later, here we go. So all-time highs, right? So that would be the reason I would focus on this Moderna trade. This is where I'd say for all of us in the trading room, if you are trading Moderna, if you're a level 4 or 5 trader, you know who you are. So that should easily be on your personal list going into the close. For the majority of us, at least, I wouldn't focus on it, but it's a fantastic call out, Michael, though. Breaking all-time highs, moved all the way up to the high, the new all-time high of the day today, 95.15. Not far off from it. Still plenty of time left to see it break. I'd say the same thing with Novavax at this point too, right? NVAX. Holy smokes, guys. This thing's at $139. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Guys, I mean, you check back in on some stocks after a long time of not trading it, but we've been very familiar with NVAX even before, back from January 21st, the famous first day of coronavirus stocks popping. Saw the big gap down back in 2019, anticipating a gap fill at some point. Obviously, we were not expecting a coronavirus for that to be the reason, but nonetheless, filled this gap, broke all-time highs. Man, this thing's crazy. All right, well, the same thing. Like I'd say with mRNA, I'd say the same with this, right? RMBL broke over 32, so that one's pushing higher. Oh, poof. Holy smokes, guys! Another one. I mean, obviously, this one's on our list already, but just still pushing. Now, the question with this is all-time highs? No, far from. There's a little bit of a ways to go to get back up there. I was going to say, for like a stock up 206%, see it go from like 18 to 34 like the others, like YMI, EQ, those were like all-time highs. Yeah, this was like a $200 stock back in 2018. There's a long ways to go to get back up to there, right? So, yeah. All right, guys. I think that we're good. I'll check in on YouTube right now really quick. The SALM trades are already on our list. So I'll comment just right now on that. Whoops. Why am I not spelling that right? There we go. New pop. So, yeah, still pushing up. So hopefully this gets closer towards that 2 level. The SALM trade's already on our list. SCYX we'll take a look at, though. Near the highs, but super low volume today, 225,000 shares. I mean, it trades 99,000 on average over the last 50 days, but that's like really, really low for what we would scan for normally. All right, so you're 1 for 2 there, trading PC. All right, guys, I think that we're good otherwise. Like I said, it's a summer Friday. I guess I'll check in on HTBX. I'll check in on VRNA. I said side list, but yeah, HTBX beginning to pull back a little bit off that last peak. And the VRNA trade, I'd said, right? Yeah, like still trying to build support. It still could be in play. This one has a wacky spread, very thin order book. So I'd group this as more of a level 4 or 5 stock. But you know what? Out of the two, I'll keep this one on our list, just in hopes of this holding over 11 as it has been, and for this to just start flying up. If this breaks under 11, I think it's just going to tank. So, it's kind of a now or never type of thing. So at least right now, as we're looking at this, nice start. All right, guys. So in total, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 stocks. I think the shoe fits. All right, guys. So aside from that, if there's anything else, we'll look to call it out live right here in the trading room here, going into 3:15, 3:30 time. All right. So for all of us streaming on social media, if you'd like to learn more about Cyber Trading University, just make sure that you guys call the phone number down below in the banner. If it's not there, at least make sure that you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. And if aside from that, if anything, make sure, just so you guys know when we go live, just make sure that you guys hit that notification bell. That'll be the thing that you guys need to do just to know when we're hopping on live or not. So, we do these meetings typically at 9 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 Eastern time every single day. But there are some points where we'll do a live stream just out of the blue. So you want to make sure that you guys are staying tuned. All right, guys. So for all of us here in the trading room, let's try and close out this week strong. We'll do a little Jimmy Buffett going into the end of the day. Take care.